August 20th. Mark your calendars, because this is when the year's most highly anticipated boxing match will take place. In front of a massive crowd in Jeddah, Anthony Joshua will be looking to reclaim the world heavyweight title he lost to Oleksandr Usyk last year. And now, Michael Bisping has said that if AJ loses, he should walk away from the sport altogether. And in today's video, we're going to talk about exactly that. First off, Bisping says this may be the end of the road for AJ. The former middleweight champion recently posted a video on his YouTube channel where he stressed how essential this game is for the Brit's career. He said that if AJ wants to continue to be one of the best and go down in history as potentially the best British fighter ever, then he absolutely has to win this fight. He also said that while he's not trying to be negative here, if the two-time champion loses this fight, there's not much more he can do, and he should retire. Bisping explained that he doesn't believe that Joshua can come back and try to claw his way back to the top because he's been there. And he's done that before. AJ has achieved pretty much everything you want to achieve by getting involved in this sport, but if he loses this one, he's lost his last two, and he even lost his titles to Andy Ruiz. We'd like to say, let's not forget that he made a tremendous comeback and got those back from Andy soon, and he deserves a lot of credit for that, but we see where Bisping's coming from as well. AJ's already 33, and if he faces another setback here, just maybe, his career could come to a premature end, because honestly, we can't see how he can come back from another defeat either. Can you imagine the amount of pressure he's under right now? Not only does he have to focus on getting his titles back against one of the best boxers in the world, but he also has to prove to pretty much everyone in the world of boxing that he's not washed, and he's still got what it takes to compete at the highest level. After all, there's been a lot of talk about how the Brit just isn't as hungry as he used to be, and this is what led him to losing his titles. So what can we expect from AJ in the fight? While no one can deny that Usyk will be coming into this bout as a favorite, you'd be mistaken to count AJ out. Like we said before, the Brit has done it before, and if the stars align, he may be able to do it once again. Plus, he's repeatedly said that he's been training like never before. He has his eyes on the prize, and he's going to try his best to reclaim the throne. After his previous loss against Usyk, he got rid of his longtime coach Robert McCracken and replaced him with Robert Garcia, a top coach who's known to get the best out of his players. In our opinion, this changes exactly what he needed, because his tactics in the last game were less than ideal. It was pretty obvious to anyone watching that the only way AJ can really win is if he exerts pressure on his opponent from the very first second and tries to finish it within the first 7 rounds, because the longer the game goes on, the slimmer the chances of him coming out on top get. AJ himself has accepted that the Ukrainian was better than him during the first fight, but he's much more motivated now. He claimed that while you can put him down, you can't keep him down, and he's currently 100% focused on being champion again. Finally, what has Usyk said about the fight? Again, AJ's up against a very formidable opponent, and it's not like Usyk isn't going to give his absolute all either. He's one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the entire world, and there's no way he's gonna go down without a fight. What's more, let's not forget that he has a lot to fight for. In case you didn't know, the current world heavyweight champion spent 3 months earlier this year defending his country against the Russian invasion. He's publicly stated that he didn't want to leave, but he was forced to do so by his fellow soldiers, who urged him to go and bring their country pride. He expressed that with this fight, he just wants to make his people happy because they've been going through a lot. According to some reports, he's gained 15 kilograms for the bout, and he's going to come into this fight to prove his superiority once and for all. So yeah, the stakes are incredibly high, and we cannot wait. Come August 20th, we might be seeing one of the most heated and thrilling fights in recent times. And now, it's time to move on to some more boxing-related news. Other boxing boxing-related news. First off, Tyson Fury reaffirms his retirement. We've got some bad news for you folks. It doesn't look like the Gypsy King is going to make a return to boxing. Earlier this year, in April, he defeated Dillian Whyte to retain his WBC title, and afterwards, he announced that he was going to keep his promise to his wife and retire from the sport. But 2 months later, in June, Tyson claimed that he'd 100% return to the ring at some point, although he did say that very big pockets would be required for a potential unification bout against the winner of the AJ Usyk fight. And just a few days ago, he sent the world of boxing into a frenzy when he said that he has his sights set on a third bout against Derek Chisora. Fans were super excited to see one of the greats of the game come back, and many expressed that they couldn't wait to see him in action once again. And let's face it, everyone wants him to face AJ at least once before his retirement. Seriously, fans have been asking for this for years and years at this point. But sadly, it appears that Tyson has called it a day once again. And by the looks of it, he really means it this time. In a post on Instagram, the Brit said thank you to everyone who had an input in his career over the years, and said that after long, hard conversations, he's finally decided to walk away. He added that on his 34th birthday. He says, "Bon voyage." Next up, Conor Benn vs. Chris Eubank Jr. confirmed. Almost 30 years after their fathers shared one of the most iconic boxing rivalries in history, Conor Benn and Chris Eubank will be facing each other at London's O2 Arena on October 8th. This bout will have a catch weight limit, as the two currently fight at different weights. Both of the fighters have a pretty stellar record so far. 32-year-old Eubank Jr. has won 32 out of his 34 professional fights, while 25-year-old Ben has won every single one of his 21 bouts. Their fathers were both super middleweight world champions, and they fought twice. Eubank Sr. won the first fight, while the second one ended in a split decision draw. Did you know that their rematch was aired on terrestrial television in England, and over 15.6 million people tuned in to watch the two amazing fighters battle it out? Understandably, their sons facing each other all these years later is a pretty huge deal. In fact, ever since the two joined professional boxing, this is all people have been talking about. And finally, Katie Taylor blasts Jake Paul. Back in April, Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano faced off in a historic bout at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Taylor won via a close 10-round split decision to retain her undisputed lightweight crown in front of a packed crowd. Controversial YouTuber turned boxer Jake Paul currently guides Serrano's career, and he recently offered $2 million to Katie Taylor to stage a rematch at 126 pounds. Jake pointed out that Amanda came up to fight Katie, so it's only fair that she returns the favor now. During an appearance at the Flash Knockdown podcast, Taylor laughed off this suggestion and said that she has never heard someone say something this stupid in her entire life. She expressed that she believes Amanda's team is just trying to play a few games, and that she's sure Jake knows she's not actually going down to 126. She claimed that she's never heard of something like this in boxing before, and said that this is real nonsense. Finally, she added that any rematch is going to be at 135 pounds. She's the champion, and if they want to run the fight back, that's the only weight division it's going to be at. And honestly, we're with her on this one. It really looks like Jake's just trying to bait Taylor. After all, she won the fight fair and square, and if anyone's going to dictate the terms right now, it should be her. Also, this shows that he isn't really confident in Serrano winning a potential rematch between the two. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think Anthony Joshua can defeat Oleksandr Usyk? And do you think he should retire if he loses again? Please let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Goodbye for now, and see you in the next one.